You remember that Bucks is the Buckinghamshire station, because at Henley Royal Regatta, all the big bucks, the corporate tents that don't watch the rowing, they're the only ones on the far side, because they're not bothered about the rowing, and it's all the corporate, it's all the big
People
bucks,
with the big bucks
are on the Bucks station. And this is how I literally have to push that through my head every single time to remember which is Bucks.
Stay with me. I think that I've never heard that before, but I think that'll certainly stay with me.
So that's the only way that I can remember. I mean, it's a bit, actually, when you look at these shots, it's much more useful to say, well, sometimes I use left and right, but then you can't that, because they keep switching the camera angles on us. But coming down now.
I think this will be a really good race, actually, between Headington School and Surbiton. I mean, the Surbiton programme is another one that, again, over the last few years has come on leaps and bounds. They've had sort of both Bill Lucas, Ken Roberts coaching those girls there, and the programme has gone from strength to strength. Headington, of course, an absolutely, I'd say, solid rock in the junior women's rowing scene. They are always performing, always doing extremely well. Usually in the large boats, we usually see them performing extremely well in the eights. They've had a couple of good junior women's quads over the last couple of years. But, good to see them here in the Coxed Fours. And I think, they're quite tight off the end of the island there. Alison, actually, I think we'll see them coming into the enclosures pretty tight.
Yeah, so Headington kept their rating a little bit higher. They were sort of 36 to Surbiton's 34, 35. And that seems to be keeping, I think it's hard to say. No, I think it is Surbiton.
Yeah.
Surbiton have just got it there, always the interesting thing with rowing is when the angles play out. But Surbiton there, in their, well, we were having this discussion yesterday as to whether, what would you call that rigging? What do they call that?
A tandem rig or a bucket.
Well, there you go. That's the third one then, because I would call it a frig rig.
Oh, okay.
So there we go. But of course we have the three options. Maybe frig is not used as appropriate language so much anymore. So maybe they use bucket and tandem. Yeah. But, often used to help keep the boat straight. So you tend to want to have maybe your biggest athletes in the middle, but with a standard rig, you need to be able to match up the pairs to help make the boat go straight. And sometimes it just really helps.
Wow,
it's quite unusual.
What a shot that is there from the drone. That just shows you how close this race is.
So close.
Sort of, 300, 400 metres in, only sort of a canvas in it as they come through towards where the crowds will be. And there's a large contingent here from Headington School. I can see their boat tent up by the boat racks. I'm sure there'll be plenty of support for them on the banks alongside Surbiton as well. And as we were saying earlier, I think it just carries you through the middle of the race. And when a race is this close, can really change things very quickly, I'd say. So we'll have to see whether Surbiton can hold this slight lead that they've got. With all the noise, with all the distractions through the middle. I think it really is a case of sticking to your race plan here, as we say, and not letting the crowd take you and do things that you don't want to do.
Both crews at 33, matching each other stroke for stroke, but Surbiton just having that slightly more push propel, a bit longer, a bit more relaxed each stroke. It's always, it's the average speed. So you've just got that's snapshot each stroke, just getting an inch, just getting a couple more centimetres each stroke, pushing it away through this middle part portion of the race.
And I think that the Surbiton crew just have a little bit more leverage of the boat. I think they're just picking the boat up that little bit more. As we were saying earlier, it's just all about shifting the boat past the blades, which is really important in getting the blade in so that you're able to lever it. Yeah, that's what this sport's all about, really, and that's how you get those extra inches. And I think the Surbiton girls are really demonstrating that well. You can see the sort of lift that they get on the boat the second that they put the blade in the water. They're actually taking the boat with them, and I think that that's where they're just sort of starting to inch out over Headington.
Looks so smooth, so controlled, so you've got a lot going on in any of these races. You've got the technique that's helping move the boat further forward, and then you've got to think about actually the training that's gone into this. So particularly in the second half of the race, your winter, your whole year of training, your fitness starts to pay off, And in rowing, you've got the miles on the water, but you've also got the miles and miles on the ergo and in the gym. And yeah, so, okay.
And we're back up at the start again with the next race. This is race 161. This is yet another heat of the junior coxed fours. This is a race of the Groton School Challenge Cup, and we've got Lady Eleanor Hollies on the Berkshire station, and we've got Camford School on the Buckinghamshire station. And as we join them about 300 metres into the race, as they come towards the car park and the fences, it is Lady Eleanor Hollis who have taken about a length's lead or so over Camford School. And again, we can see in this race that beautiful tandem rig in the Camford School boat that we were just speaking about earlier on today. But in this race, it's Lady Eleanor Hollis School who have just taken command as they come through towards the spectators. Camford School just trying to hang on a little bit to overlap, but I think Lady Eleanor Hollis have just managed to break what we used to call the elastic band. It's this beautiful thing where, you know, in a side-by-side race, I think you always have, as long as you've got overlap and you can see the other crew, there's this thing called the elastic band, which, you know, draws you back in, sort of allows you to, you know, get reeled in by any pushes that the other crew's making. But as soon as you snap that and you make clear water, you know, it stops them from, you know, reining you back in. And once you're out of earshot, out of sight, it allows you to row your own race almost. And I think that's what Lady Eleanor Hollis have just managed to do there.
Very difficult to come back from that. Yeah. And a very established, obviously, and prestigious LEH, very established girls rowing school. Okay, so I'm going to go up to start the next race. I'm going to sign off and hand you back to Martin. Thank you very much, Camilla.
No, thank you. We've had a great afternoon of a real combination of races between senior eights and junior fours.
And I heard you girls laughing. I mean, that's good. So
we've been having a great time. I mean, there's been some really fantastic races. So
I mean, these drone images are getting some really, really amazing comments from people as we look down now at the start of another heat of the Junior Cox Fours. This is Surbiton High School and Emmanuel School. Surbiton would be nearest to the bank, and Emmanuel School over on the far side towards the middle of the river. Thank you very much, Alison Mowbray. Really, really loved having you, and we'll see you very soon. Tomorrow, in fact. Okay, so Junior Cox Fours moving through the island here, and they've got a lead there now of about, there's the drone headquarters there just on the left. That's where it lands. Yeah. Did you know that?
Yeah, the little platform.
Yeah.
Got a little like helipad, hasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It landed a bit quickly yesterday because one of the big flying birds took an interest in it, and yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
We were saying how much of a buzz it makes if you walk up towards the side. You can hear it, and
yeah,
I think.
But it's not too bad. I was talking to some of the coaches, and they said, it was terrible noise yesterday. It wasn't. It was somebody strimming the grass. So the drone got the blame for buzzing.
I see.
So this race looking as if it's going to go the way of Emmanuel School. They look well and truly. I mean, that's a good old lead, isn't it? You're not even at halfway yet.
Nah, it's very early stages to get a commanding lead like that in a side-by-side race, and I'm sure that we'll see them saving some energy for later on in the weekend. They've got some pretty tricky races. We've seen some of the quality of the crews go through earlier on today from these heats in the Junior Coxed Fours. And I think they're just starting to take it down now through the halfway marker, looking really relaxed, and again levering that boat really nicely. Good to see some quality junior women's rowing, especially we were saying here at Henley Women's Regatta.
So this is Surbiton High School against Emmanuel School, and that really does look like it could be a tip to do very, very well in this event. I will have a word with my dear friend Mr. Morgan and ask him on previous form going past Fawley Court. Oh, it's absolutely beautiful, isn't it? Built by Sir William Wren. Do you know him?
Beautiful
Heard
building.
of him?
Yeah, I think
Yeah?
so. I believe so.
Yeah, he built a few things apparently.
William Wren.
Sir William Wren. Is it? It is, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful building. But even more beautiful rowing, I would say, by the ladies here from Emmanuel School.
Well, they're going to progress through to the next round. There's another race down on the start now in this, the Junior Coxed Fours. And we have St Edward's School waiting to start the next race.
St Edward, so this is on the start, race 163. This will be the final heat we'll see today of the Junior Women's Coxed Fours. St Edward's School will be racing up against a crew from Haberdashers Monmouth.
Haberdashers Monmouth School for Girls are over towards the island, and St Edward's, Teddy's as they're known, on the left hand side there nearest to us. A couple of parents there looking on anxiously as they move down the back of Temple Island, and at this point they are just really going flat out trying to get their nose in front. Psychologically, if you can just get ahead at the top of the island there just before you hit, well, not hit, just before you go into.
I think there'd be a bit of a problem if you're hitting anything.
The ideal scenario is not to hit the booms, but here you need to be a little bit careful. The Coxies would have worked out, and there's lots of myths of where you should steer and what you should do, but basically you just got to get ahead of the other guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
and we've seen that so many times, I think, in these earlier stages that, you know, one crew will really set out to get that far in front that they then can't be caught. And, you know, it's a little bit trickier to do as you get more towards the final stages of racing, because you know, the quality gets better and better.
The quality gets better, and
day.
so what a lot of these crews will be doing here, the Cox will have a number of calls at certain points. So, for example, coming up here now just before Remenham Church at the end of the car park, they might ask for a push. Doesn't necessarily mean that they'd up the rate, but it means that they would actually apply a bit more pressure on the blades and try and just increase the amount of power that they're laying down. So what they're trying to do here is break away from the other crew. However, Haberdasher Monmouth do not appear to want to lie down here. That's...
And I think that's extremely impressive that, you know, you can stick with a crew that clearly has made that, you know, real concerted move to go off hard off the start and to freak someone out, you know, because it will sort of play with the mindset of St Edward's, I think, that they've gone off hard and that Haberdashers Monmouth are still there, because, you know, we've seen it so many times today that, you know, one crew will go out like a rocket and, you know, then be able to hang on to that for the rest of the course.
Well, it looks to me as if they've just gone up a pip there, Teddy's. It looks as if they've called for a push, just applying a bit more pressure, and they said, right, before we get to the halfway point, we want to try and break clear of these girls from Wales. And Haberdashers Monmouth could be broken. Is there a bit of clear water? They're going to pass us very, very soon, coming up to the halfway point. But so Teddy's went out early, went out strong. Haberdashers Monmouth had a real good go to get back on terms with them. But at the halfway point now, it looks very much as if Haberdasher Monmouth are breaking away.